I found out my life was over because my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Not from her. From him. That's the part one still can't fully process. I was sitting in my car outside the grocery store, engine off, staring at a half-written shopping list, when his name lit up my screen again. 3 missed calls. Then a message. She deserves to know. I can't keep this anymore. I remember laughing. Not because it was funny, but because my brain refused to interpret the words in any logical way. He was my closest friend. The only person who knew everything. The one I trusted with the parts of me I hid even from my wife. And in that moment I knew, before opening the next message, that whatever he was about to do, it would land exactly where it could destroy me the most. I didn't reply. I just sat there, gripping the steering wheel, already feeling something inside me begin to collapse. Before all this, my life looked painfully normal. I had been married for 12 years. 2 kids. A house that always needed fixing. The kind of routine that slowly turns into background noise, school runs, bills, quiet dinners where no one really talks anymore. My wife, Elena, and I weren't perfect, but we weren't broken either. Just tired. Comfortable in a way that felt safe, even if it wasn't exciting. And then there was Daniel. We met at work years ago, and he became that rare kind of friend you don't question. The one who shows up when things fall apart. The one who listens without judging. When my father died, Daniel was the one who stayed with me all night while I drank too much and said things I don't even remember. He knew me. Really knew me. Which is why I told him the secret. I didn't think of it as a ticking bomb back then. Just something buried deep enough that it couldn't hurt anyone anymore. The secret didn't start as betrayal. At least, that's what I told myself. It started with loneliness. About 3 years ago, Elena and I hit a rough patch. Not explosive, just quiet distance. We stopped touching. Stopped asking each other anything that mattered. That's when I met Sarah. She worked at a client company. Younger than me, sharp, and way too easy to talk to. It started harmless. Coffee after meetings, jokes, long conversations that felt like oxygen. I knew it was dangerous. I knew it crossed lines long before anything physical happened. But I didn't stop. I convinced myself it was just emotional. That I deserved to feel something again. That it wasn't real cheating if it stayed in that gray area. It didn't stay there. And once it crossed that line, I didn't go back. I just learned how to hide it better. Or at least I thought I did. Daniel was the first person I told. Not because I wanted to confess, but because I needed someone to understand. Someone to tell me I wasn't a terrible person. We were sitting in his apartment, late, both of us half drunk, when I said it. I think I'm in love with someone else. He didn't react the way I expected. No shock. No judgment. Just this long silence. Then he asked, "Does your wife know?" I laughed it off. "Of course not." He nodded slowly, like he was processing something deeper than my words. I told him everything after that. The texts. The meetings. The way Sarah made me feel alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. Daniel listened. Really listened. And then he said, "You're playing with something that's going to burn everything." I should have taken that seriously. Instead, I heard it as concern, not warning. The first red flag wasn't obvious. Daniel started asking about Sarah more often. Not casually, specifically. Details I hadn't offered. Things I didn't think mattered. What does she want from this? Does she know you're not leaving your wife? Are you sure she's not telling anyone? At first, I thought he was just worried. Being the responsible one. The moral compass I didn't have at the time. But then it shifted. He became distant. Not cold, just less present. Like part of him had stepped back from me. One night, out of nowhere, he said, "Secrets don't stay buried. They just wait." That stuck with me, but not enough to change anything. Because I was too deep in it by then. Too invested in the escape Sarah represented. too confident that I could control the situation. And most importantly, too sure that Daniel would never betray me. That assumption is the one that destroyed everything. The turning point came quietly. Sarah started pulling away. Messages got shorter. Meetings became less frequent. Excuses more common. I felt it before I understood it, that slow slipping away. When I asked her directly, she avoided eye contact. "It's getting complicated," she said. "It was always complicated," I replied. She shook her head. "Not like this." That was the first moment something didn't add up. I asked if someone had found out. She hesitated. Just for a second. And that second was enough. "Did you tell someone?" I asked. "No," she said too quickly. I wanted to believe her. So I did. I told myself I was imagining things. That paranoia comes with guilt. But deep down, there was a voice already connecting dots I wasn't ready to see. 2 days later, Daniel asked to meet. In person. He never insisted on that. We usually just talked over the phone or grabbed a beer casually. But this time he was specific. Urgent. When I got there, he looked exhausted. Like he hadn't slept. "I need to tell you something," he said. My stomach dropped instantly. There's a tone people use when they're about to change your life. He had it. "What is it?" I asked. He ran a hand through his hair, avoiding my eyes. "I didn't think it would go this far." "Didn't think what would go this far?" I snapped. He finally looked at me. And said, "I told her." The room felt like it tilted. "Told who?" I asked, even though I already knew. "Your wife." I don't remember standing up, but suddenly I was on my feet. "You what?" My voice didn't sound like mine. Daniel stood too, hands slightly raised like I might hit him. "She deserved to know," he said. "You were lying to her every day. You had no right," I said, my chest tightening so hard it hurt to breathe. "I couldn't keep it anymore," he shot back. "Watching you destroy your life, and hers, like it meant nothing." I laughed again, that same hollow sound from the car. "So you decided to destroy it faster?" His face twisted. "I didn't do this." "You did." Maybe he was right. But that didn't matter in that moment. Because he chose the exact moment it would hurt the most. Sarah pulling away. My marriage still intact, barely. And now this. "How long?" I asked. I told her this morning. Everything inside me went cold. I drove home like I was on autopilot. Every possible version of what I'd find ran through my head. Anger. Screaming. Silence. Maybe she'd already left. The house looked normal. That was the worst part. Lights on. Curtains open. Nothing broken. I walked in, and she was sitting at the kitchen table. Just sitting there. My phone buzzed again in my pocket. I ignored it. "Elena," I started. She looked up at me. I've never seen that expression before. Not anger. Not sadness. Something emptier. "Is it true?" she asked. No yelling. No drama. Just that question. I opened my mouth, and nothing came out. That was my answer. She nodded slowly, like she already knew. "Who is she?" she asked. I whispered. "It doesn't matter." She gave a small, broken smile. "It matters to me." The conversation that followed wasn't loud. That almost made it worse. She asked questions. I answered some. Avoided others. Every truth felt like another crack spreading through something already shattered. "How long?" 3 years. That one broke her. She covered her mouth, shaking her head. 3 years, and you came home every night like nothing was wrong. I tried to explain. I don't even remember what I said. Something about confusion. About not wanting to hurt her. She laughed at that. "You didn't want to hurt me?" she repeated. "So you lied to me for 3 years?" There's no good answer to that. So I just stood there, feeling smaller with every second. Do you love her? She asked. That question nearly destroyed me. Because I didn't know anymore. And that uncertainty hurt her more than any answer could. The kids came home halfway through everything, right in the middle of a sentence I can't even remember finishing. We both froze. It was like someone hit pause on a disaster. Elena wiped her face quickly, turned toward the sink, pretending she'd been busy. I stepped back, grabbed my phone, acting like I had just walked in. Hey, our son said, dropping his backpack like nothing in the world had shifted. Hey, I replied, and my voice sounded disturbingly normal. That's what broke me more than anything else, that ability to switch it off in a second. To hide something that massive behind routine. Dinner that night felt like sitting in a room filled with invisible smoke. No one said anything unusual. The kids talked about school. Elena nodded at the right moments. I chewed food I couldn't taste. Every now and then, our eyes met. Not by accident. There was something in her gaze, like she was seeing through me, measuring me, realizing that the man sitting across from her was a stranger wearing a familiar face. I kept thinking, they don't know, they're laughing, and they don't know their family just cracked open. After we put them to bed, everything came crashing back harder. There was no more pretending. You stood there, she said, her voice shaking now, and acted normal in front of them. Like nothing happened. What was I supposed to do? I snapped. Tell them right there? At least be honest with someone, she shot back. Because you sure as hell weren't honest with me. The argument escalated in waves. Not constant screaming, bursts. Silence. Then another explosion. You humiliated me, she said again, louder this time. Do you understand what you did to me? I didn't mean. Stop saying that. She cut me off. Stop pretending this just happened to you. You chose this. Every day for 3 years you chose this. I felt cornered, like everything I said just made it worse. Then why didn't you tell me? She demanded. Why didn't you give me the chance to decide if I wanted to stay or go? Because I was a coward. I didn't say that out loud. Instead, I said something weak about not wanting to lose her. She laughed again, but this time there was nothing left in it. No disbelief. Just exhaustion. You already lost me, she said quietly. And that was the moment I realized this wasn't just damage. This was something that might never be repaired. The fallout didn't take days. It started the next morning. Elena barely spoke to me before the kids left for school. The silence between us felt calculated now, not accidental. Then I heard her on the phone in the other room. Her voice was low, but I caught enough. Yes, it's true, 3 years. I didn't know. She was telling her sister. By the afternoon, her parents knew too. I didn't have to be there to hear what they said. I could imagine it perfectly. The disappointment, the anger, the quiet confirmation that I had become exactly the kind of man people warn their daughters about. My phone kept lighting up. Unknown numbers. Messages I didn't open. At one point I saw her sister's name flash across the screen. I let it ring out. I didn't have the energy to defend myself, and I wasn't sure I even deserved to. Meanwhile, Sarah disappeared. Not gradually. Completely. I tried calling her once. Straight to voicemail. Then I noticed I couldn't see her profile picture anymore. Blocked. Everywhere. It was like she had erased me the second the secret became real. That hurt in a different way. Not as deeply as what was happening with Elena, but sharply. Like realizing something you thought mattered was never solid to begin with. And then there was Daniel. He didn't stop. Messages kept coming. I didn't think she'd find out like this. I was trying to help. I couldn't keep lying for you. Each one made my chest tighten. Because part of me understood what he was saying. And another part of me wanted to drive to his apartment and smash something just to feel like I had control over anything. But I didn't respond. I couldn't. Because if I started that conversation, I knew it would turn into something uglier than everything else already was. Weeks blurred together after that. Time didn't feel linear anymore, it just felt heavy. Elena didn't leave right away, which somehow made everything more painful. If she had packed a bag and walked out, it would have been clear. Final. Instead, we stayed in the same house, orbiting each other like strangers forced into proximity. We spoke when necessary. About the kids. About bills. About schedules. Nothing else. No emotions. No attempts to fix anything. It was like the relationship had been placed in a glass box, visible, but untouchable. At night, I'd hear her moving around in the other room. Eventually, she moved into the guest bedroom permanently. No announcement. No discussion. One night she just didn't come back to our bed. And that was it. That quiet decision carried more weight than any argument we'd had. We tried therapy for a while. Sat in a room with someone asking us to communicate openly. Like that was still an option. Elena cried during the first session. I don't understand how someone can lie to me for 3 years and still say they love me, she said. I didn't interrupt. Because I didn't have an answer that wouldn't sound like another lie. The therapist asked me how I felt. I said, I don't know. Which was true, but also incomplete. I felt everything at once: guilt, regret, anger, confusion, but none of it translated into something useful. After a few sessions, Elena stopped going. I'm not interested in fixing this if I'm the only one who's broken by it, she said. That stuck with me. Because she was right. She was shattered. And I was just trying to understand the damage I caused. I think about Daniel more than I ever admit out loud. Not in a nostalgic way. In a restless, unresolved way. I replay that message in my head constantly. She deserves to know. I can't keep this anymore. I try to figure out when exactly he made that decision. Was it sudden? Or had he been carrying it for months, waiting for the moment it would feel justified? Because that's what I can't shake, the timing. He didn't tell her when I first confessed. He didn't force me to come clean when things were still salvageable. He waited. Until Sarah was already pulling away. Until my marriage, while flawed, was still standing. Until everything was perfectly positioned for maximum damage. That's the part that feels intentional, even if he'd never admit it. I trusted him with something I knew could destroy my life. And he chose the exact moment to release it. We did talk once, briefly, weeks later. I picked up one of his calls without thinking. I didn't want it to end like this, he said immediately. You didn't think about how it would end at all, I replied. That's not fair, he said. I was trying to do the right thing. For who? I asked. He didn't answer right away. That silence said more than anything else. I couldn't keep watching you lie, he finally said. You weren't watching, I said quietly. You were waiting. He got angry then. Said I was deflecting. That I was blaming him for my own mistakes. And maybe I was. But that doesn't erase what he did. Two things can be true at the same time. I betrayed my wife. And he betrayed me. I don't really know why I'm writing this now. Maybe because enough time has passed that the shock has worn off, but not enough for anything to feel healed. My marriage exists in a strange, suspended state. We're still legally together. We still live under the same roof. But emotionally, it feels like standing in the ruins of something that used to matter. Sometimes we have almost normal conversations. We laugh at something small. Talk about the kids. And for a second, it feels like maybe we could rebuild. Then I catch that look in her eyes again. That distance. And I remember that trust isn't something you repair with time alone. Sarah is gone in the most complete way possible. No closure. No final conversation. Just absence. And Daniel. I don't think I'll ever fully understand what he did, or why he chose that moment. Maybe he really believed he was doing the right thing. Maybe he just reached his limit. Or maybe there was something else: resentment, judgment, Something unspoken that finally pushed him to act. I'll probably never know. What I do know is this: secrets don't just destroy relationships, they reshape them. They expose things you weren't ready to see about other people and about yourself. And once they're out, you don't get to control the fallout. Not the timing. Not the damage. Not who gets hurt the most. If you're trusting someone with something that can ruin your life, understand this: they're not just holding your secret. They're holding the power to decide when everything breaks. And if they choose the wrong moment, you won't just lose what you were hiding. You might lose everything else too.